Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our live for this Native Sunday Circle. Today we're just going to do online, as previously noted by past posts on the page. Got a lot to do in preparing for a retreat coming up on the first weekend of May, so I need to give more of my time and attention to, but wanted to come and do this for you this morning. Hopefully we can do this about 20-30 minutes tops, but want to be here for you and to offer you a time to connect and commune with each other energetically and spiritually, and to connect with each other's hearts. And so, in opening prayer, Great Spirit, Creator of the universe, you made the world in beauty, and you restore all things in glory. Through the victory of your chosen one, Creator sets free, Yeshua. We pray that wherever your image is still disfigured by poverty, sickness, selfishness, war, and greed, that the new creation that is in Chief Cornerstone may appear in justice, love, and peace, and to the beauty of your name. Aho. Going to play the flute here for a few minutes. Let us just kind of zone in into this time being present, and then I'll explain what all is in front of you here. All right. Start a little meditative and get into some positive. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, oh yes, I said I would tell you what is in front of you here. So we have a picture up top of my depictions of what the imagery of Creator would be in the Trinitarian and the Divine Council. So up at the very top, you have a more grandfather or fatherly figure representing the Great Spirit or the Great Mystery. And then the chief in the middle would be Christ. And he's in the middle of earth and divine, a mixture of both. And then the fire, which would represent the feminine aspect of the divine or the Holy Spirit, which is heavenly in itself, like it's a heavenly manifestation, because while fire is a element, it at the same time seems as like it's otherworldly. It's not from this world. Like we can produce it, but it's not per se. Fire doesn't grow on a branch. Fire, except for lava, doesn't flow like a stream. And it's a different type of element. And that's why a lot of native people, in a sense, don't really consider it a element of earth. It's very supernatural to them. And then, I don't know if you can see or not, but right here, you can see the eyes, is a black panther. And then an eagle, a buck, and a bear, representing the four directions. Now, these animals can change and vary depending on your different tribes, what animal is in each direction. And so this is a cosmology. It's the four directions around us. It's the three world tier cosmology of above, middle, and below. And also it is a depiction of all that is within you and without of you. So it brings everything into one. Underneath, with this checkered like wrapping box here, that is my medicine bundle. Or you could call it like an ark or something. And a lot of tribes will have what's called a medicine bundle, which is a wrapping of either cloth or leather, sometimes a box wrapped in leather or cloth like this. And inside contains things that are symbolic to you personally, that might be in connection to heritage or lineage. Sometimes they'll put dirt in it from sacred places or their ancestral lands, and it can be different items, parts of stone, animal, paints, plants, etc. It's just stuff that it contains your power, you might say, your medicine. And then coming on down, you'll see a little crystal tree representing the universal tree of life, which is a recognized theme among some tribes. And then we have a clear quartz crystal below that, which represents spirit and also the star nations and the little people and ancestors. We believe that clear quartz, especially amongst the Cherokee, are either old ancestors that decide to remain to help people on the earth and help the earth itself, or they are sometimes associated as a fallen star. So it's a star person come to earth to teach. And then we have a wood plaque with a white candle in the center representing the sacred fire, with the four medicines, tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, and cedar. Then we have our water to the left-hand side there, might be your right, and tobacco again. Then on the other side, a copal incense stick during our time of prayer, turtle shell with cornmeal in it, yellow cornmeal, representing the abundance and the ancient wisdom of the earth. And then we have also a earth candle, honoring this time of spring and the earth bursting with life. Also, for those just joining in, I believe I did make it available that you can rewind during live, so you can go back and watch from the beginning. You don't have to wait till it's over and posted. But welcome everybody. Jessica, Sandra, April. It's wonderful to see you here. So today, now that we've got all that explained, I want to talk about some new creation, and we're going to be touching on the subjects of how creation was made and how that plays a role in our lives symbolically and spiritually. Touch a little bit on baptism, and we're going to talk about chakras a little bit and seeing things from a different perspective, and maybe get some thoughts in there and seeing things through native eyes and perceiving the world, especially about fear. So in creation, we see, according to sacred teachings of the wampum belt, that the earth was void and formless, and water covered the face of the deep, and darkness was everywhere. And so we have this imagery of darkness without structure and a type of a chaotic sense. And then we have a word spoken, or actually a thought. Let us create man in our own image. And why I say that thought was prior, because that is the reason in the later story as to why creation is happening. And so there's a thought, and then there's a word, and then there's a light, and then there's air, then there's fire, and then there's motion, and then there is structure. And then when Creator sets free Wisdom Keeper, when he came to the waters for a water ceremony by John and was baptized and came up, and light coming down and the Spirit coming down in the form of a dove and a word from the great mystery, this is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. And notice that he says this about Yeshua before he ever done anything. There's not been one single miracle performed. There's not been any heroic actions been taken. He hasn't even went in the wilderness yet. Nothing has happened, and he's already saying, my beloved in whom I am well pleased. Because Creator declares things before they are, and by his declaration they come to life. He calls the things into existence that are non-existence, and things to life that are dead. And so the baptism of Christ is an image of declaring a new creation, a new world that the mud dauber or the water spider or the otter from these different native myths dives down into the water and brings up mud that turns into the land. And some of it is on a turtle's back. Some is tied by 4 cords into the sky upon the waters. And so we see the one who is the image of the invisible divine made visible. We see the one that connects with the material, the earthly, the children of earth. And so the anointed one is embodiment in flesh and soul, child of earth and star. And that is what we are. And that is what we are to be. And so when we partake in this ceremony of cleansing ritual of water, that's what it is symbolizing. We have dived into the chaos and we have emerged out into light, breath, and a new creation. But this new creation is not an instant perfection. Creator, though he can and does at times do things instantly, but 98% of the time he does things through providence, through secondary means, and through human agencies. He works in the lives of others. He uses his providential hand through the mundane cycles and systems of our everyday world. And he works in our hearts to work in the hearts of others. And we are all connected. And how this is evident is because as above, so below, as within, so without. You are a walking universe. Inside your body is multiple realms of different worlds of cells and bacteria and molecules and structures and atoms and DNA structures and genetics. And all of these things, science are discovering that they have a consciousness of their own. There's a thing you can find on like a YouTube reel or Facebook reel of how this one cell is carrying this other cell, and it literally looks like it's jolly walking, doing its job, whistling while it works. And you can look at it and see that it's alive. And so you have different solar systems and galaxies, different worlds of life inside you. And we, on the outward, are the same way. There's worlds in the sky of the birds and the cloud people. There's different worlds in the water of the fish and crawfish and different little bacterial things living in that water and swimming around. And there is life in the soil, thousands of fungi nervous systems like a whole internet network underneath our feet, straining for miles that could circle the globe if you put them all in a straight line, that could circle the world several times. And we are all in these different layers of vibration and energy. And when you pause and think on all that, it's marvelous and it's wonderful. And that the great divine that made all that would decide to use us as a temple. And because earth was our first sanctuary, our first cathedral, our first temple, the earth and skies and universe declare the image of the divine, and we find all that is in the earth we find within ourselves. And so just as Creator dwelt on the mountain and in the garden, Creator dwells within us in the same way. And that the representative of the human race, Creator sets free, Yeshua, is the representative of that for us, but also is that of the Father to us. And so when the Father sees him, he sees what humanity, the true human being, was to be and shall be. And when we see him, we see the Father Creator as he truly is in every aspect. And so in the midst of all this is a coming together as one, uniting around the fire in connection and rising from those ashes, rising out of that water to be a new creation. So where does chakras play a role in this? If you know of anything of chakras, they are a Eastern concept of energy centers within and the body, circling and motioning like a water pool in a stream, flowing around and up and down the body. And the root is associated with the element of earth. The sacral, which is between underneath the belly button in the womb area, is the element of water. The solar plexus above the belly button and between your chest at the bottom of your rib cage represents fire. The heart in the center of the chest represents air. The throat represents the element of sound or ether. The third eye or the brow represents the element of light. And then the crown at the top of the head represents thought or consciousness. And if you ponder on these, you can see creation within yourself and how creation happened in the world. If you go from the top crown chakra down to the root, you can see it like this, that divine consciousness was in existence and had a thought of creation. And then coming down to the third eye, they're representing light. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and said, "Let there be light." And then the throat, sound, that is that speaking, saying. And then it said that the Spirit of the Lord hovered around the waters. And that word spirit is the same Hebrew word for breath or for air. And then from there, after he turned on a light, I think it's the light of consciousness, the light of existence, because the sun and moon is not made yet. And after the Spirit is hovering around the waters, the air, the life breath, hovering like a chicken broods over her eggs, we come to the earth part where the land is separated from the waters, and that's the heart chakra, which represents air and earth. And the solar plexus, that fire, that action, that moving, that transformation, separating that land and water, water and sky. And then we see that he creates the stars and the sun and the moon, that fire to light up that creation. And then the waters churning and moving. And from the waters, the fish of the sea happen and the birds of the air. And then finally the root, the earth, is established. And then from there, humanity is created. And from there, in humanity, we work our way back up. We are first grounded and rooted in the earth, and we come through the waters, that new creation, that new baptism. We have that fire of the Spirit burning within us. We have the breath of life to love and express. We have a message to speak, a truth to be told. We have an inner light that divides the darkness. And we have an awareness of the divine, of thought and consciousness. And so you could say, from Creator to the earth to us, from us to the earth to Creator. And I wanted to read some stuff to you. And this is from Walking on the Wind by Michael T. Garrett, and The Cherokee Full Circle by J.T. Garrett and Michael T. Garrett. You can find these books on Amazon as well. And here is that one. And that one. Underlying assumptions. Now, I had said that in that new creation, that new baptism, that new merging forth out of everything. What is merging forth is a new perception and underlying assumptions that we have to untangle ourselves from. And just sort of get us thinking on this. This is from Margaret Craven, a quote from Margaret Craven from the article, "I Heard the Owl Call My Name." "I think it is time you knew of Taguna, the Eskimo. Last year, one of our white men said to him, 'We are glad you have been ordained as the first priest of your people. Now you can help us with their problem.' Taguna asked, 'What is a problem?' And the white man said, 'Taguna, if I held you by your heels from a third-story window, you would have a problem.' Taguna considered this long and carefully. Then he said, 'I do not think so. If you save me, all would be well. If you dropped me, nothing would matter. It is you who would have a problem.'" And so, it's all in perception, isn't it? Here are some things to ponder in this. We are our own best experts. No one knows you better than you. Nobody but you has seen with your eyes the things we've seen. And most importantly, no one but you has experienced your life in quite the same way that you have. What others do know of us, they know only through what they see and what we tell them. It is our choice whether or not to invite others to see with our eyes or walk in our shoes. It is their choice whether or not to do so. We are our own worst enemies. No one does a better job of deceiving us or treating ourselves badly than we do. No one can do a better job of finding ways to ignore our innermost thoughts and fears than we can. Certainly other people may try to make us feel badly or want us to be different than we are. However, their success depends on our willingness to let them succeed in doing so. Our success in doing ourselves wrong depends solely on intention. We don't always have to talk to say what we mean. You don't always have to talk to say what you mean. The things that we do and say are never as important as the way in which we do or say them. Likewise, people tend to listen more to what they see than what they hear. Words are merely tools for the expression of what cannot otherwise be easily understood. Listening with your eyes is a skill that takes much time and willingness. We all have as much right to express ourselves with silence as we do with words. Neither words nor silence are more important than the respect one person holds for another in the realization of the humanity shared by both. Words are just words, people. Now, we will say words have meaning. Words are powerful. Choose your words rightly. Because when you say a word, you can't take it back. And that is all true. But at the end of the day, the words themselves are just words. Let me explain what I mean. We most often think of communication in terms of the words we speak. It could even be argued that we think in words. Clearly, words are important to us, but words are nothing more than tools. We use them for our purposes, and they are used with us and upon us. However, words have no absolute meaning outside of the context, and we should not assume that they do. We give words power and can also take that power away. It is we that make words powerful. It's we that give that energy, that force to the words. And that is why there's such an emphasis on the Word of God or the Word of Creator, because the words mean diddly squat. It's because who is speaking that word, the life force behind that word. Words are just a tool to communicate what is in the mind and heart from one individual to another. We accept certain things as being true and in turn create truths for ourselves. Words help us to do this, and they are only as real as we make them. Since so much of living involves interacting with others, we must be aware of the meanings and intentions that words may or may not convey in an effective way. At the same time, we have to restrain ourselves from reading too much into things. Words say a lot about us and the things around us, but words are not us. The worst thing about having so many choices is having to choose. No one can say for sure who is truly worse off. The one who is forced to do something and wishes she or he could do something entirely different, or the one who freely chooses to do something and later regrets it. Wisdom is having more questions than answers. The one who has found all the answers to his or her questions has run out of questions. The one who has ran out of questions has run out of learning. A person who ceases to learn has also ceased to experience. And a person who has run out of experience cannot be wise. Sometimes we try so hard to be what we're not that we forget who we are. And you cannot lose what you never had to begin with. And forever is right now. To dwell on the past means to forfeit the present. To dwell on the future means to forget where you are and from where you have come. Recreation of the past and speculation about the future serves an important purpose. Sometimes we look for a point of reference in our lives. Sometimes we need to escape the demands of living. But sometimes we need to just cherish the moment, even a painful one. By appreciating where we are and gathering strength from the knowledge that there will never be another one exactly like it. Meanwhile, that moment is rapidly becoming our past and fulfilling our future. Ultimately, that moment in time is part of a greater experience that has a deeper meaning for us than the passing pain or the pressures of daily living. And that brings us into finding the source. Finding the source to all these problems. Because the rule of opposites teaches us this. Opposites are extensions of themselves, like two opposite hands of the same body. One opposite implies the other. We choose our own discordant opposites, wherein we are the true source of the difficulty we experience. Everything serves a meaningful and important function in our lives. Asking the right questions instead of asking for the right answers allows us to know the function rather than the effect of our choices. Questioning our assumptions allows us to recognize underlying meanings or truths and the relative value of choices made. And understanding underlying truths eliminate any need for discord in our lives. And through choice of perspective and appropriative action, we are free to balance ourselves as we see fit. And by one Cherokee elder said, finding the source to all this, all these different questions and ponderings and contemplations and reevaluations, is fear. At the end of it and at the root of it is fear. Fear is a feeling without reality. The old ones taught us that we could make fear a reality by our choices. We look one higher than us for guidance. We look to one higher than us for guidance. Otherwise, we might live in constant fear. The Cherokee way is to not look fear in the face, but to allow fear to look itself in the face. The Cherokee way is to not look fear in the face, but to allow fear to look itself in the face. While we recognize fear as just fear, and then we go on with our lives. But fear does have a playing role. Fear keeps you safe. Fear tells you if you get any closer to the edge, you're going to fall off. But when fear handicaps you, restricts you, limits you in a detrimental way, that is the type of fear we're talking about that you don't need. And in coming to full circle, in connection with all of creation, how everything without is within us, everything above is coming out and around us. There is this mirroring reflection, but there is also this brokenness and this chaoticness that is being subdued and put under, and we play a role in that. And if you have undertaken that ceremony of purification by water, symbolizing and aligning yourself with this new creation in Creator Sets Free, then you have been equipped, you have been changed, and you have been transformed, and you are growing into that new creation, and you are being a light of that new creation while carrying still the fragments of that old. You know, when Creator made the world, he didn't get rid of the darkness, he divided it. He didn't get rid of the chaotic waters. He subdued them and brought out from under them the new creation. You don't have to so much look for something out and beyond. It is already within you. The shadow just needs to be divided. The waters just need to be calmed. And you need to dig deep and find that Christ within and bring it out. And you know, when Creator said, "This is my beloved in whom I'm well pleased," he said that before Christ did anything. Brothers and sisters, my relatives, Creator declares that over you before you've ever done anything. Creator is a father, and we've had experiences at times where we've felt like we've had to earn our Father's approval or our Father's love, and I'm speaking of our earthly parents. We've had to do things so that we might hear them say, "I'm proud of you," or "You're such a good son, you're such a good daughter," because we did something, because we came to their demand or their need, or we just gifted them something because of the love they've given us over the years. But it is an acknowledgement of something we did, whether that's an attitude, whether that's an action, a perception, but it's something we did. Creator says this over you before you've done anything. You are my beloved, and in you I am well pleased. Because it's calling something into existence that makes existence happen. And so speak that to your children. Speak that to your family. Not because they did, but because you believe and see it in them and you're calling it to come out. God sees you and says, "Beloved, well pleased." And when you accept that and believe that, man, that will give you more energy than the Energizer Bunny ever had. And you will go and be well-pleasing. Not to earn his favor, but to know you already have it. And so, my friends, I hope this has been a blessing to you. And you have been given gifts. And this comes from the section of the Wampum Belt. And it says, "So think good thoughts and be single-minded in your prayers. Above all, never stop loving each other. For like a warm blanket, love covers a great number of broken ways. Open your home or homes to each other and share your food without grumbling. Each one of you has been given a gift, so use it to serve one another. As a good manager of the many kinds of gifts Creator gives. If your gift is speaking, then your words should come from the Great Spirit. If your gift is serving, then serve with the strength Creator gives you. In this way, the Great Spirit will be honored by everything you do through Creator sets free the chosen one. To him belongs all power and shining greatness to the time beyond the end of all days. Aho, may it be so." So, my friends, I'm going to light this incense from our little sacred fire here. And I'm going for about 10 minutes, give or take. Give us a time of prayer. Some I will just lead in words of prayer. prayer, and then I'll play the flute for you to say your prayers and contemplate on what has been said or what that prayer is referring to. And I want to honor the women. In springtime and stuff, there's a lot of the feminine being honored. And so let us open our prayers with living great mystery, Tukashila. Long ago, faithful women proclaimed the good news of Creator Set Free's resurrection, and the world was changed forever. Like those women, teach us to keep faith with them, that our witness may be as bold, our love as deep, and our faith, our trust, as true. Aho. O Creator, your one and unique Son of earth and star, remained with his disciples after his resurrection, teaching them to love all people as relatives. As his disciples in this age, we offer our prayers on behalf of the universe, on behalf of all our relations, not only human, in which we are privileged to live among, and our neighbors with whom we share it with. Open our hearts to your power, moving around us and between us and within us, until your glory is revealed in our love of both friend and enemy, in communities transformed by justice and compassion, and in the healing of all that is broken. Elusive God divine, companion on the way, we walk behind, beside, beyond, and you catch us unawares. Break through the disillusionment and despair clouding our vision, that with wide-eyed wonder we may find our way and journey on as messengers of your good news. Aho. Well, with that, my friends, thank you, Jessica. Thank you for that. I know I had said this would be like 20, 30 minutes tops. I realized I've almost went an hour. So I try not to limit or overdo the spirit. So the flow has ceased. The time has come. May the good medicine be within you and burn brightly out of your sacred fire. And until we meet again, may you walk in beauty, may you be in harmony, and may you love everyone and everything that you come in contact with today, tomorrow, and forever. Today na gahonya. Until we meet again, walk in beauty, my relatives.